So I lived in the Netherlands for almost 2 years, and I have many of my favorite memories, but I'm sure a lot of them would actually be little small moments when you eat something delicious, or when you have a really great conversation all in Dutch, or you have mastered the public transportation system, or those little memories. But what mostly came to mind was the big moments. And one of my favorites, was when my mom came to visit. So I'd been there about, I think, 5 months, and my mom came to visit, and we traveled. We went by train to Bruges, and we went on a food tour and ate Belgian chocolate and Belgian fries, and we saw the canals, and it was really full of tourists, but we still had our own fun. And it's a beautiful ancient city, and walked the canals and saw some beautiful churches. And then after that, we took a walking tour in Amsterdam, and learned about the history of the city, and once again saw more canals. Ate traditional Dutch pancakes. Went to the Anne Frank house, which was really powerful. Went to the Rijksmuseum, believe the biggest museum in the Netherlands, and got to see Napoleon's piano, which I thought was really cool, imagining Napoleon playing the piano. I got to see Van Goghs in their natural habitats, and the gardens surrounding the museum were incredible. And then in the night, we accidentally ended up in the red light district on the walk to the station. And then we went for a bike ride to the Keukenhof, the tulip gardens, which were packed. It's one of the biggest, I think it is the biggest tourist destination in the Netherlands. And the flowers were beautiful, but I have seasonal allergies, so I had maybe the worst allergy attack of my life. And then after a grueling ride back, the next day we went to one of the national parks with the sand dunes, and the bike trail runs along the North Sea, and you could see all the wildlife, the wild horses, and the Scottish Highland cows. And on the coast, they had the herring stalls where you could buy fresh herring for sale, and you just plop it in your mouth and eat it whole. And you could see the windmills, and it was really nice showing off all the skills I had learned, and my language skills, and just kind of showing my European life to my mom. It was her first time in Europe, so it was really exciting. It was a really nice time, especially when you're far away from family. It's really nice to have that family atmosphere back. And another favorite moment, which was not too long after that, was in the summer of my first year there. A friend of mine and her boyfriend, we met in Finland, and then we traveled alongside my husband, who's from Latvia, so he's from that region. And we were in Helsinki, we flew. It was only like an hour to fly there, which is like one of the reasons I wanted to live in the Netherlands. Is it's so easy and cheap to travel throughout all of Europe, but you just don't have the chance to in America. And all you have to do is take a hour flight, or just sit on a train, a comfortable air conditioned train, and you can go anywhere instead of 12 hours by car just to go to 2 states over. But in Helsinki, it was full of art and really interesting culture, and there's people singing opera and playing the violin on the streets, and really interesting architecture. And I really enjoyed we went to an old island that the Soviets occupied back in the day, and it was this amazing island with all these old buildings, and the rocky shores, and the beautiful blue sea all around, and watching people swim in the freezing cold Baltic Sea. And we took ferries around, and then we it was a 2-hour ferry to Tallinn, the capital of Estonia, and we stayed in an Airbnb on this beautiful street, with medieval castle walls, and the city has a lot of tourists who come by cruise ships during the day, but they leave, and so at the night we had basically the medieval old town to ourselves, and we'd walk around and explore. And the buildings were all painted beautiful colors. And a friend of mine was living there and showed us around, and showed us all the places you wouldn't be able to find on your own. We hiked up to a viewpoint. We took a bike food tour where we biked around the city and got to try all these amazing foods and learn about the history of the city. And we got to see an old Soviet prison, and he showed us where people in the winter would walk across the frozen ocean. 2 hours. It took us 2 hours by ferry to get to Helsinki to Tallinn, but during the Soviet times they would walk across the ocean that we had just sailed across, just to escape the Soviet Union when it was freezing. And it was beautiful. And then we took a bus to Riga, the capital of Latvia, where my husband's from, and we stayed in an Airbnb that was a former prime minister's residence, and we had outside we could sit on the shore of the Daugava, the river, and see the old town and the famous bridge. And we had a beautiful garden. We'd sit out there and drink good Latvian beer. And we visited the ethnographic museum, where they had moved old traditional buildings to the ethnographic museum, and so you could explore it, and they were all over the country, and everything was just how it was in the original wood. And we explored the old town, but Riga has amazing Art Nouveau architecture, and they're originally pagan, so they have a lot of interesting handiworks and crafts and beliefs. And then we stayed with my husband's family, and his dad took us around to go see different castles and museums around their region, and we hung out in their garden, and we went to the Baltic Sea, and I got in the water, and it was really cold, and I was proud of myself. But that trip was really wonderful, and it was really nice seeing a friend I hadn't seen in quite a while, and exploring new countries together. And then I guess one of the other memories that really stands out for me is went to Carnival, which is like Carnival in Brazil, but there's European Carnival, because my region, the Netherlands, was Catholic, and so the train station's filled with music, and there's everyone is dressed in these really funny outfits, and drinking, and Dutch music playing everywhere, and it's just a big celebration for about 4 or 5 days, and it's just incredible. So I was really glad to have experienced that, and especially since it's mostly popular in my region, and made new friends, and it was really cool to see that, to be a part of that, and be accepted. But so those are some of my favorite memories. So.